Washing our hands is a daily task that we don't really think about much, but one student group hopes to bring attention to the necessity by making their own soap in the laboratory on campus. Saturday night, thousands of fans packed Massachusetts Street after the Jayhawks won over Ohio State to make it to the national championship. Tonight, bars and restaurants around Lawrence are preparing for the big game. Smoking hookah for 1 hour is equivalent to 5 to 10 packs or 100 to 200 cigarettes, yet the popularity of hookah is steadily increasing. The KU Public Safety Office is taking initiative to add more security cameras around campus, such as parking lots like this one. Although crime on campus has decreased steadily over the years, the Chief of Police says they can never be too safe. The history, the titles, the tradition, and the religion? Basketball and religion, they may not seem compatible, but James Naismith invented the game to help instill Christian values in young men. Michael Zokri, a religious studies professor, says that James Naismith didn't just invent the game of basketball for a fun physical activity.
Naismith was a person who created the game so that it would teach young people certain values, certain ideals.
Naismith hoped that the game would help students develop Christian character. While sports and religion have become hot topics in our world today, not many people know that Naismith linked basketball to religion.
I've certainly met people who believe that it is one of the most important things in their lives. And there are people who believe religion is the most important thing in their lives.
It shouldn't come as any surprise, though, as many KU basketball players are very public about their faith. Though recently, sports and religion have become very controversial.
It also depends on what they're quote-unquote expressing. Like, if they're showing gratitude, like, for example, you just won a big game. And if you have a quote-unquote religion and you want to thank your God for doing that, then I don't see the problem with that.
Whatever the connection is, I think people will be debating it for a long time.
Caroline Atkinson, KUJH TV News. While less than half of young adults ages 18 to 24 voted in the 2008 election, a recent study says that today's young adults are more aware of global issues more than ever before. KU professor Jay Childers has a theory that the recent decline in young adult voters in the United States is due not to apathy, but to changes in American society. Childers says that young adults are still involved in politics, but in a much different way than before.
If we try to measure today's youth against the youth of 50 years ago, we're going to find discrepancies that some people will read as a lack of engagement. But it turns out if you actually listen to what young people have to say for themselves, they really do care about their communities. They really do want to be engaged. They just have found different ways to do that.
More people ages 18 to 24 are volunteering and donating money to causes that matter to them and boycotting issues they disagree with. Childers argues that these things are still very much a part of the democratic society.
I think voting is important. I think there's a lot of other ways for people to get involved. For instance, with their wallet, right? So acting as a political consumer is still a political act, even if it isn't the institutionalized politics that voting is.
While many students realize it's important to vote,
I think it does matter because, at the end of the day, it might come down to our votes or, come together as a community, as a young population, and see that it really does matter.
Childers is worried about the upcoming 2012 presidential election.
I certainly have not sensed as much excitement in this election as there was in 2008, and that may change over the next few months. But the sense of excitement with the Obama campaign in 2008 isn't the same today as it was then.
Changes that have occurred in the nation and the world within the last 50 years have altered what young adults must do to make a difference.
As college students, people, they're taking to opinion like freedom of speech and stuff like that, but they're not, acting upon it. So I think it is important for us to, go out there and tell what we feel.
Childers suggests that the older generations should engage with the younger generations for a more stable political outcome.
I think one of the things we can do, especially as educators, is to try to engage young adults in the types of participation they are already engaged in.
Caroline Atkinson, KUJH TV News.